Yo, what's up, guys? We're back. We're going to be doing another predictions video. This week it's going to be for UFC 261, 3 title fights. First card back with fans in a long time, so super excited for this one. I feel like a lot of people are really excited for this one. And, just right before we get started, like always want you guys to, know that I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. I thank everyone that watches the videos, that likes, that subscribes. And, I want to try to get a goal here, 200 likes. So, if you could hit that like button, that would be really appreciated. I really want to try to hit that 200 here. So, yeah, that would be awesome. But, we're just going to get right into it here with the first fight of the night with Ariane Carnelossi taking on Liang. And, Ariane Carnelossi, she's making a return to the cage. She's actually taken about a year and a half off. And she had a rough matchup in her debut. She had to go up against Angela Hill, and everyone knows how good Angela Hill is. And, she got finished in that fight. She got caught with the elbow. It got ended due to a doctor stoppage. So it wasn't like she got knocked out, but didn't, reach the final bell there. And she is 12-2. She has the better resume, I would say. She's pretty aggressive. Doesn't really have technical striking. I don't really think she has a ton of power, even though, the way that she looks, it looks like she would. She's kind of just like a seek and destroy fighter. She's coming forward all the time. She likes to trade in the pocket. She throws some solid leg kicks, body kicks, and she has some power in her hands. She will throw some 1-2s, but to me, I feel like sometimes she can be like a little bit stiff, like too muscular. And, I feel like sometimes she can not really throw the cleanest punches, and it kind of takes away from her power a little bit. She, can throw a little bit wide. Fighters can move and counter. She throws a lot of arm punches, and she stands flat-footed at times. She seems a little bit green, but, it does seem like if she could start to be a little bit more technical, sit down on her shot, she maybe will have that power. But, she doesn't really get tired. That's one thing that I do like about her. And she does, throw some decent combinations when she can back people up to the cage. She'll go body head. She walks girls down for the whole fight. So, it seems like she does wear people down and then can maybe take them out in the later rounds. And she's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and she needs to use that on Saturday night because Liang is going to test that. And Carnelossi, she does have good double legs against the cage, but I don't think she's a great wrestler overall. She kind of lost the clinch battle against Angela Hill as well. And, Carnelossi, when she can get on top, though, she doesn't seem like she's super dangerous, but she knows what she's doing. She can avoid the submission. She's pretty heavy on top. She is okay ground and pound when she could posture up, but overall, she's just trying to control the position and, get points there. And, she's going to have to deal with the steady grappling submission attack from Liang. I do expect Carnelossi to be the fighter who's on top, at least initially. And I think she's going to, be too big and physical for Liang to take down potentially. But Liang's going to be looking to transition to submissions very quickly from her full guard if it goes there. And, Carnelossi has to be very aware of the submissions and the sweeps. And, that's where Liang is going to want to be. Liang, she's going to be making her UFC debut here. She's going to be the first of 5 Asian fighters on the card. That's obviously because of Weili Zhang in the co-main event here. And Liang, she's 24 years old. She's 15-4. She's finished all of her wins, and she's a fighter who's been training out of the UFC Institute in China. I think a few of these other fighters have been as well. So the UFC is investing in Liang, and it's going to be interesting to see how all these fighters from China transition into the UFC. It's going to be, like I said, interesting because she hasn't really fought great competition. And, a lot of her fights, I feel like they're like, I don't know, like kind of like showcase type of fight. She doesn't really, have any type of threat from her opponent. Like she's fighting these real low level girls with bad records, and she can kind of just take them down and take over the fight real quickly. But, this one, that's obviously not going to be the case. And her losses have came against girls that are sturdy, solid fighters like Lilia Shakarova in the UFC. Obviously, Maria Agapova is in the UFC. She has a loss to the Bellator flyweight champion, Juliana Velasquez. And, it's really hard to say how good her striking is. I mean, she barely throws any strikes on the feet. Very takedown oriented. She's 5'9", and she's going to have a 7-inch height advantage in this fight. She usually just uses flurries or, a big overhand to close the gap and get a hold of her opponents. Sometimes she'll shoot a double without even throwing in a strike. And, she just doesn't seem like she's, a great fighter. But she's a submission artist. She's finished 7 of her wins via submission. isn't a physical fighter, but she has great timing on her level changes. I mean, she has a good single, good double, good clinch takedowns. Her best takedown is definitely her double leg. And she's good at coming up into double underhooks, looking for trips, looking to take the back. And I feel like that's what she's going to want to try to do here, having this big height advantage over Carnelossi. If she can maybe circle to the back in the clinch, she can maybe control that position. If she can get on top, she's very, very aggressive. But, like I said, I mean, she has some okay takedowns, but she can get desperate for takedowns. She's kind of an ankle diver at times. She will pull guard. But, if she can get on top, she's good at floating, moving from position to position, always looking for submission. She's comfortable on top or bottom. She has good arm bars, triangles off her back, fast hips. She has good scrambles. Maria Agapova, she was able to finish her with big ground and pound. But, she did have to kind of go through a barrage of submission attempts from Na Liang. It seems like that's kind of what Na Liang does. She really tries to submit you really quickly early. When she can't do it, it does seem like she can get a little bit tired. But I will say, I mean, Maria Agapova and Juliana Velasquez, two girls that she has lost to, are 125-pound fighters. So she was a little bit undersized in those fights. As far as this fight goes, I mean, it's going to be tough to have a super solid read on either side. As far as who's the more well-rounded martial artist, that's definitely Carnelossi. Carnelossi is going to be, the girl that's going to be the better striker most likely. But she's coming up against a girl who's a specialist. If she can take Carnelossi down, the fight could be over quickly. But Carnelossi is going to have a big reach disadvantage. So she's going to have to close that gap come to Liang, where Liang is going to have the chance to create some grappling situations. I think Liang should try to use her big length advantage, get in the clinch, try to take the back, like I said. And Carnelossi, even though she's a bit wild under fine, she throws hard. She has solid Muay Thai. I feel like she's going to throw a lot more volume, be the one bossing it on the feet. And Liang is also a girl that's only had one fight out of Asia, and that was at Bellator 189, and she did lose that fight. It seems like it's a big factor, especially for a lot of Asian fighters, traveling to North America. But I'm sure she's going to have a lot of motivation seeing Weili Zhang as the champion. And I see her still as a girl who has a lot of promise, could maybe win fights in the UFC, get finishes, make some noise. Right now, I just don't know if she's up to that level, though. She's very green on the feet. She doesn't really set up her takedowns. She can get tired, overwhelmed when opponents, can defend her submissions. And she's been finished in her last 3 losses. Carnelossi, she's going to be pretty hard to shoot in on. She's 5'2". She's pretty strong, physical. She's also a black belt. So if she could survive that barrage, stay safe, get on top, I think she could defend the submissions and even, let off some good ground and pound. And the pick for me is going to be Carnelossi by second round TKO. But it's not the most confident pick because I haven't really seen Carnelossi fight this style of fighter. I'm just picking her based off her already having a UFC fight, being a little bit more well-rounded, having higher level wins. And she has a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So she should be able to handle herself on the ground. So ultimately, I do feel like she has more paths to victory and she should be able to, get the victory in this fight. But like I said, I mean, when you look at it on paper, it's hard to be super confident because of the fact that, Na Liang does have a lot of finishes. She is the younger girl and she has way more experience, even though she's the younger girl. But like I said, it's against low-level competition. It's just the fact that she is a specialist and she's a finisher. So, if Carnelossi goes in there, she slips up a little bit or anything happens, she takes her lightly. She could get submitted here, but I feel like Carnelossi should be able to get that one done. In this next fight, we got Jeff Molina taking on Qileng Aori. And Aori is another one of these WLF scene fighters here. The same thing as, the last girl, Na Liang, and a couple other people on the card here. Another one of these Asian fighters. And he's a little bit more established. He's 18-6. He's actually won 7 fights in a row. And his record is pretty padded as well, though. He's beaten some okay fighters, but a lot of low-level guys are mixed in there. And he's returning after a year away, so he could be improved. It's hard to really say much about Aori to me because, I could only find 3 fights of his online, and it looks like he's a power striker for 125. He'll get in the pocket and likes to use a left hook, straight right hand. He has a good jab. He'll use the jab to set up his straight right hand, and he'll throw a good double, triple jabs and good straight rights, good right hooks, good overhand right. And, when he has a striking advantage, he is aggressive. He's a finisher. He'll get in the pocket, throw combinations. He throws some flying knees, and he landed a nasty flying knee when an opponent tried to shoot in on him and knocked him out. It was pretty impressive. Defensively, he does come in a little square. Seems like he can be a little bit hittable. Seems like sometimes he just uses a high guard, not footwork, and fighters can land uppercuts, hooks around the guard, land to the body. He also has a tendency to brawl a little bit. And I do believe that, that could get him in trouble in certain fights because I feel like he's not the fastest flyweight, but he does keep the volume high. He constantly pressures forward. He's durable. And, Qileng Aori also is a decent grappler. Looks like he likes to get takedowns against the cage, mostly doubles, close the distance, get double underhooks, drive fighters to the fence. And, when he can get on top, it looks like he has okay control. He was able to mount Young and grab an armbar. I really haven't seen a lot of Aori's takedown defense or game off of his back, but, it seems like he's a decent grappler. Maybe he's going to have the edge if he can get on top, and maybe he'll be a little bit more physical. I have seen some guys take down Molina and, get on top of him a little bit. But Jeff Molina, he's a Glory MMA product. He's coming off a win on the Contender Series, and he's won 7 fights in a row himself. A little bit of a padded record as well. But he's a good mover. He's a kickboxer. He switches stances. He keeps the range well, good leg kicks. And he threw, some naked leg kicks in his last fight against Jacob Silva, which did get him countered and got his leg kicks caught. But, he was pretty effective with them overall. And he has a nice jab. He throws good straight punches. When fighters pressure him, he likes to counter with left hooks. He likes to switch to southpaw, throw switch kicks. And, he, like I said, he's pretty rangy. He, I believe, is a little bit faster and a little bit better in exchanges in comparison to Qileng Aori. And Molina is a pretty good grappler. He likes to close the distance, get double underhooks. He hits good trips. He has good double leg. And when he gets on top, he will be aggressive with his ground and pound. He has good back takes. And when he takes the back, he's good at flattening opponents out, working for, the rear naked choke or, the ground and pound to finish the fight. He has pretty good takedown defense, scrambling ability. But like I said, I've seen him get taken down in more than one fight. In his fight with Ken Porter, he was controlled a bit for the first round. And in the second round, he was able to, get controlled a little bit. But eventually he did reverse a bad takedown attempt, mounted Porter, found the arm triangle. And it does seem like he's a hard guy to hold down, even if you can take him down. So I'm not sure Aori is going to have a lot of success controlling a guy like Jeff Molina. I think I'm going to go with Molina because he's the more known commodity. He's going to be able to control range. I think he has better movement and footwork. The grappling, I'm not sure, like I said, but Molina looks like a good enough grappler, and he's younger. I feel like he should be improving. He's at a good gym. And I think he's going to be able to come in here and win via decision. It is a close fight, though, because like I said, there's not a lot of footage on Aori. So he could come in here and, be surprisingly good. He also has taken a decent layoff. But ultimately, I do feel like, the better fighter here is going to be his opponent. So I got to go with him, and I just feel like he's going to be able to get the victory here. So I got to go with Jeff Molina in that one. So moving on, we got Zhu Rong taking on Rodrigo Vargas. And, Zhu Rong, he's continuing the Asian invasion on this card. He's, going to be a Chinese fighter. He was successful, throughout his career. He has a really good record, 17-3. They say he's 21 years old, but, it doesn't look like he's 21. I'm not going to say, definitively that he's not 21 years old. But, it seems like a lot of these Chinese fighters, Song Yadong, some other ones, have a little bit of, question marks surrounding their age, especially since, he's had already 20 fights. He's been fighting apparently since he was 16 years old. But he's won 10 fights in a row. He's had pretty low-level competition. He's never fought outside of China either. And he's an exciting fighter. Out of his 20 fights, only one has gone to decision. He's one of those guys that loves to fight. I mean, he's smiling in there. He gets hit and calls on his opponents. Definitely, invites wars. And he's long and rangy. He could strike moving forwards and backwards. He's at his best to me, though, when he can go forward, be the bully. And, he has good footwork. He cuts the cage off. He'll switch stances, good fakes, good feints. And he's good at picking out opponents from range. He has good long-range shots, and then he's good at kind of mixing in the power crosses or the kicks. And he throws heavy low kicks. He has good jabs, good 1-2, good 1-1-2. He likes to throw the left hook, straight right hand. He's has pretty good lateral movement and, pretty good body kicks, high kicks as well. He does fight with his hands low. And one of his opponents, Marcio Andrade, was able to pressure him, land some big overhands, some looping punches. And Rong showed some very good durability, though. He was able to stay right in the pocket, get hit with clean shots in return. And he has 12 wins by knockout, so he's definitely a power fighter. His grappling is what I'm not 100% sure about. I'm sure he's been working on at the Chinese UFC PI. He's actually a pretty decent offensive grappler. He has good double legs. He has good clinch takedowns. And when he gets on top, he's very aggressive. He moves fluidly. He has good ground and pound. And that's usually where he finishes his fights. He can get on top. He likes to take them out. He has a good back take. He'll flatten opponents out. And isn't a big submission threat. He only has 4 submissions and 17 wins. But very strong athletic. So his takedown defense is pretty good without much technique. But his defensive wrestling to me does need a little bit of work. I do feel like he is improving with that, as his career goes on. But I have seen him, taken down and controlled in certain fights. I do feel like, against Marcio Andrade, she was getting kind of dominated a little bit in that fight with the grappling. But he has good ground and pound, and that's, when he can get on top. But on bottom, I feel like in this fight, he needs to kind of not accept bottom position, because in certain fights, I feel like he can be a little bit, susceptible to just staying on his back, not really working to get back up to his feet, working elbows, things like that. And in this fight, he needs to, if he gets taken down, just get right back up to his feet, because he has been submitted in all 3 of his losses. That's where he's going to be exploited if he does get exploited. I mean, sometimes you'll see him give his back to stand up, defend submissions with slams, and just it isn't the most technical fighter overall. So it is something that you do kind of have to take into account. In his fight, like I said, against Marcio Andrade, he was losing the majority of the fight, but he was able to get a 5th round finish, and he's a warrior. I mean, he's definitely a good prospect. He can go 5 rounds. He has great cardio, great durability. He has no quit in him. And, he ultimately was able to shoot a takedown of his own, take Andrade's back, and end the fight. He's going to be taking on a guy that is his back against the wall, and Rodrigo Vargas. He's 0-2 in his first 2 UFC fights, so definitely needs to show up here. Vargas, he hasn't fought in about a year and a half either. And, he did lose his last fight via DQ in a fight that he was winning. He did technically get a knockout, but I doubt the UFC will give him leeway even due to that fact. He's going to need to pressure, get on the inside in this fight. He has a 3-inch height disadvantage. I also believe he's going to be at a speed disadvantage. He has okay boxing. I mean, you'll rip the body, you'll come back up to the head. He has some power hooks. He will crash the distance with some crosses. He has a pretty good rear uppercut. He likes to kind of talk shit, try to goad you into brawls, and his footwork is very bad, so he struggles to really get on the inside, be effective, and he does have some power in his kicks. He has some, okay low kicks. He'll attack with round kicks to all parts of the body. We've seen him knock out Mike De La Torre very early with the head kick. So, he's very aggressive, dangerous, but, Vargas, he doesn't check kicks, low kicks. He's kind of, one of these guys that's just a tough Mexican fighter. He doesn't use a lot of defense, comes forward, eats shots, shows his toughness, but is very hittable. Most of his wins are by knockout, though. He has 7 knockouts, so does have some power. He's a good grappler as well. I believe he's probably going to be the stronger guy here in this matchup. He's going to be significantly older, and he's pretty good at catching kicks. He's probably going to be looking to do that in this fight. He has okay takedowns against the cage. On top, he kind of likes to work ground and pound more than submissions. He was able to take down Brock Weaver, and, he didn't really do much on top. Weaver was actually able to get in fairly deep on a guillotine. But, Vargas eventually, when Weaver tried to get up, hit him with the legal knee, ended the fight, showed very poor fight IQ there because Weaver was clearly down. And Vargas, he can't be taken down himself. I mean, Alex De Silva dominated Vargas with the grappling, took him down fairly easily, took his back, controlled him there for the majority of the fight. Vargas also slows down in fights. He got taken down multiple times in the 3rd round against Marco Antonio Elpidio. And, Rodrigo's one loss was via reverse triangle. Here's one submission loss, it was via a reverse triangle against Jose Caceres, who's Alex Caceres' brother, a very good black belt. How I see this fight kind of going down is if Rong could fight to his potential, he's going to win easily. Vargas, to me, on the feet is really going to struggle with the footwork, the range, the movement. Rong has proven he can take a shot. He's durable. I wouldn't really invite a war against Vargas, but it's good to see Rong can go to that if he can pull, if he has to, and he can pull through that adversity and come back even if he gets hurt. But he's probably going to cruise on the feet. I see the leg kicks being a big issue for Vargas, the counter crosses. And I also think Rong is the better grappler. I think he could take down Vargas, control him, finish him on the ground. Vargas can win this fight if he can catch him early, or if maybe he could, out-grapple him some way, get on top, and Rong's grappling is not very good. But I just don't see those things happening. Even if he can grapple a bit early, I don't think he has the cardio to keep the pace for 3 rounds, Vargas. Rong is a cardio machine, and he's going to be coming for that finish. And I think he's going to find the finish, whether it's on the feet or on the ground at some point in this fight. Very, very, hungry guy. So I got to go Zhu Rong in this one. I just feel like he's the better fighter and is going to be able to get that one done pretty clearly there. I feel like he's going to be better everywhere and kind of be able to dominate the fight. Vargas, to me, is kind of being fed to the wolves here. I mean, I feel like they're kind of just trying to, get Zhu Rong a win here and, move him along a little bit. So, yeah, I just feel like ultimately it's a good fight. I think it's going to be an interesting fight to see a guy like Zhu Rong, compete in the UFC and do well there. But I feel like it's kind of a stepping stone type of fight. So I don't necessarily know if we're going to learn a lot from, something like that in this fight. Potentially, I feel like it's going to be an easy fight for him. But, if it becomes a hard fight or, if it becomes, issues in terms of grappling, then that's going to be good to see too, because we're going to kind of see what level he's out very early. But this next fight, Danaa Batgerel taking on Kevin Natividad. Danaa Batgerel went in there and picked up his first UFC win last March. He knocked out Connelly, good left hook. And, he's 31, so he's a bit on the older side for bantamweight. But I would say he's a very good fighter. I mean, he's an aggressive counter striker. He's going to be the guy with the better footwork in this fight. He uses a lot of feints, and Kevin Natividad is a little bit flat-footed. And Batgerel likes to walk guys down, look for that lead and counter left hook. He has a good straight right hand. You'll throw that powerful overhand right. He has power in his punches, and definitely is going to be trying to crack that chin of Natividad for the 3rd time. Batgerel will throw some leg kicks in there. He'll throw some decent body kicks. And, Kevin Natividad, his opponent kind of dropped the ball in his debut. He went in there with Miles Johns. He got knocked out. And prior to that, he had won 5 fights in a row. So he's going to be looking to get back on track. But Natividad, kind of a basic striker to me, utilizes a wide stance, so he can move in pretty quickly. He has a low center of gravity. He's pretty quick, shifty. And his main weapons on the feet are really his left hook and his straight right hand. Pretty good jab, and he will double jab his way into range. He'll, go to the body a little bit with the straight. And he loves the 2-3 or the 3-2 combination. He will throw some left hooks in there, like I said, with some power. So his left hand does have some power. He's kind of a brawler. He's willing to exchange in the pocket. And, he throws some power kicks as well from time to time, but isn't really a super active kicker. He does throw, sometimes a tricky high kick in there. But, I feel like he isn't really the best striker because he doesn't feint or fake a lot. He could struggle to find his range, and he doesn't check kicks, so his lead leg did get chopped down in his last fight. He can also be hit when he's trying to close the gap because he's a little bit flat-footed, deliberate. His durability is also a little bit questionable. I mean, he's been finished by strikes in both of his losses. Miles Johns was able to put him out pretty badly. And, he really struggled with the movement, the jab of Miles Johns. Couldn't really get his game going. He has issues with being low volume at times. He is a pretty good grappler. I think that's where he's going to have the potential advantage in this fight. He is going to have to try to punch his way into the clinch and from there, work cage control time, try to hit takedowns against the cage. He has pretty good double legs from there, but his wrestling isn't the best. I mean, he could shoot from too far out, doesn't really set up his takedowns too well. Sometimes his athleticism can bail him out. He can drive his opponents to the cage, kind of force chain wrestling situations, but usually he struggles to finish takedowns, especially in the open mat. And to me, he isn't really the best on top. I mean, he likes to work ground and pound from full or half guard. He will knee slice his way to mount. He isn't really a big submission threat, even from dominant positions, but he will work some ground and pound. As an amateur, it seemed like he was a lot more effective with submission victories, whereas to me, that kind of makes me think that he's just fighting some low-level guys. As a pro, he only has one submission, so hasn't really proven to be dynamic in that realm. Defensively, his wrestling is pretty good. I mean, hard to take down, but don't think he's really going to have to deal with that in this fight. He did get knocked out with the big uppercut off the clinch in his last fight, so I feel like that's something that potentially Batgerel could try to do, land shots when they break off the clinches. But I see a lot of people betting on Danaa Batgerel, and I see why. I mean, for a fighter 135 pounds to be put out cold twice in 2 years, that's kind of a bit alarming in my opinion. And, Kevin Natividad, I do question his durability. Danaa Batgerel, very aggressive striker. I do think this fight could be close if Natividad's chin holds up, but, both these guys use a lot of the same combinations. I feel like Batgerel is going to be having the speed advantage, the footwork advantage, and kind of just being a little bit better with his feints and hiding his strikes. I feel like Batgerel, I mean, he doesn't really throw a lot of low kicks, but maybe if he sees that, Kevin Natividad struggles with that, he could potentially, throw a little bit more of them in this fight. For Natividad, I feel like he kind of lowers his level sometimes, can be pretty deliberate and obvious to read when he's trying to, throw some of his combinations. In this fight, he needs to use feints to kind of draw out that counter left hook of Batgerel and, counter the counter. I do think that overall, though, Batgerel is going to be the better striker. I think he's going to be on the front foot walking down Kevin Natividad. I think he's going to throw the more volume. I also think he's the more durable fighter. Batgerel has good takedown defense. So I feel like, Natividad's going to try to grapple heavy, try to get Batgerel against the cage, work the takedowns. But Batgerel, I feel like he's going to be able to deny majority of those. Even if he does get taken down by Natividad, he does have a pretty active guard. He'll throw elbows. He'll throw, up some submissions. But he can be comfortable off his back. So I feel like, in this fight, try to just work back up to your feet. But I ultimately don't think Natividad is going to have the success he needs with the wrestling to win this fight. I just feel like Batgerel is going to be able to force exchanges. I think Natividad, likes to brawl. He's very aggressive himself, and I think that's going to put him in the firing line. And I actually feel like, like I said, I question his durability a lot. I feel like he's, has a lot of durability questions. So I feel like Danaa Batgerel is very live for a knockout in this fight, and I am going to pick him to get the win in this one. So I got Danaa Batgerel on this one. I'm pretty confident. And moving on to this next one, we got Tristan Connelly taking on Pat Sabatini. This is a fight where I feel like the line is a little bit off. I mean, we do have to acknowledge that Tristan Connelly, he's coming down 2 weight classes for this fight. He fought at 170 his last fight. So coming down to 145, I'm sure he's going to feel like, a way bigger guy. He's going to feel way better in that octagon. But he even was able to get the win at 170. But Pat Sabatini, it's kind of take 2 for him trying to make his first walk to the UFC octagon. He weighed in. He was ready to go for his first UFC fight in February. But unfortunately, man, I mean, his opponent just was not professional. He missed weight by over 10 pounds. So the fight got scrapped, and Sabatini had to wait a little bit longer for his UFC debut. But Sabatini, he's a good fighter, man. He holds wins over guys like Tony Gravely, John Jesus, Damon Blackshear. And he's a fun fighter to watch. He's finished 11 of his 13 wins. Kind of a tricky striker. He has a karate background, uses a lot of kicks. He'll switch stances, and he has good movement. He'll throw some nice switch stance overhand rights. He does a good job of entering range, faking the level change, coming over the top with some big hooks, overhands. And he doesn't really have very good boxing, but, he's kind of tricky. He has power in his right hand, and he is a little bit hittable. Doesn't look super comfortable on the feet. He will throw some decent kicks. I mean, front kicks, round kicks, spinning kicks. He, throwing some, jumping kicks, spinning back fists. So can kind of be a little bit tricky, pretty fluid mover. And he trains with Paul Felder. So maybe that's kind of where he gets all the spinning attacks, things like that from. But Pat Sabatini's main game is he's a submission grappler. I mean, black belt in jiu-jitsu under Daniel Gracie, very strong in the clinch, and he uses his head well. He likes to work from the over-under position. He doesn't really have a ton of offense from that spot, but he has good trips. He'll throw short punches, nice knees, short elbows. He has a good single leg, and he has good timing on his doubles as well. His level changes are pretty good, and he's a grinder. I mean, chain wrestle. He's willing to, grapple heavy, push the pace, and, he's very good at landing strikes off the breaks as well, and then re-clinching, re-shooting. So definitely keeps a high pace and can be a little bit unorthodox. He likes to roll for leg locks. He loves the 50-50 guard. He has good heel hooks and, good sweep game. He'll even use that fireman's carry to get fighters to the ground. So sometimes he can be a little bit, risky with some of the things that he uses, like the leg locks. Sometimes people don't really like that because you could take damage. Obviously, that fireman's carry kind of leaves you susceptible to triangles at times. So, but he's a very good grappler overall. I mean, on top, he has good control, ground and pound. He'll attack body head. He has a good half guard. He'll attack, arm locks, and, he has good guillotines. He has heavy hips. He's a good passer. Very good rear naked chokes. Good submission defense overall. Very tough. I mean, if you watch his fight against James Gonzalez, man, I mean, James Gonzalez is a very high level black belt, and he was able to, catch Sabatini and really wrecked his shoulder with a shoulder lock, and Sabatini didn't tap out. He's pretty nasty, but, 10 submission wins for Sabatini. He's a grinder. Like I said, he uses his cardio as a weapon. And he's going to be taking on, like I said, Tristan Connelly, though, who's been away from the octagon for a while. I mean, over a year and a half away from the cage, but had one of the biggest upsets of 2019. I mean, he came in there on short notice, up 2 weight classes, and took out Michel Pereira, who hasn't lost since. So, or I guess he did lose to Diego Sanchez, but, he wasn't able to fight in all of 2020. So his momentum is kind of gone, but, he's going to try to make the fans kind of remember his name after Saturday night. And he's a veteran. He's had, a few more bouts. He's 5 years older. He's at 35. He's coming off a year layoff and neck surgery. So those are things that I don't really like. But he's been on a good run. He's won his last 5 fights in a row. He hasn't lost in almost 2 years. And he's a bit tough to tape, though, because I was only able to find 2 of his fights online. He's a fighter who's very aggressive. He's a finisher. He's finished all but one of his wins, and that was his last win, his first UFC win that he didn't finish. But he's a forward pressure striker. He has good footwork, cuts the cage off. He has pretty good head movement, good feints, and he's pretty loose. He mixes it up well. He'll attack the body. He'll throw nice punches and kicks. He has a nice jab, good lead hook, and good 1-2s in the pocket. He has good hooks, good uppercuts. He'll rip the body. Some real nice kicks. He'll kick to all parts of the body. He has a nice variations of kicks. He'll throw spinning attacks, question mark kicks. I feel like he's kind of sneaky athletic. And he also keeps the volume high. He pushes a solid pace. He's definitely going to be the better striker. He's a tricky striker. He's a fun striker to watch. And Tristan Connelly, he's also a good grappler. He's a black belt. He likes to attack singles. He has good takedowns against the cage. When he can get double underhooks, he'll circle to the back from standing. He is aggressive on top. He has big ground and pound. He has a lot of rear naked choke victories. And he was able to stay heavy in half guard, beat up Michel Prazeres. He has okay takedown defense, but, sometimes he kind of allows the takedowns. He'll jump guillotine. He doesn't really fight the takedowns as hard as he can. And I don't really like to see that, especially in this type of matchup. He has a lot of faith in his front chokes. He has good sweeps, and but I've seen him controlled on the ground against Michel Prazeres. It seems like Connolly is kind of good off of his back, but he likes to play on his back. And against Pat Sabatini will oblige that, get on top of him, control him, ride him out. But like I said, I do think this is kind of the line is a little bit off on this fight because Sabatini, I mean, he was an underdog coming into his fight with Rafael Alves. Now he's a over 2-1 favorite. He's facing a guy that has just pulled off a big upset, a little bit older. So I feel like he's going to be coming in here, very experienced. He's going to have the game plan to, do well. And, if he can negate the grappling situations, keep it on the feet, or just stay on top in the grappling, I feel like he could have success. But I think Sabatini is going to be able to get his game going, man. I think he's going to be able to, attack the takedowns, be more aggressive, and just kind of boss the fight, be able to put it where he wants it, just kind of make Connolly kind of a little bit hesitant with the takedown threat. And I think that, Connolly's not going to be able to sweep or find, much success off of his backhand Sabatini. I think he's going to be trying to just get back up to his feet. And if he can do that, if he can make it a more striking-oriented fight, like I said, then that's where he's going to potentially have his most success. But I more feel like it's going to be Sabatini, controlling on top, being effective with some ground and pound, maybe attempting some submissions and getting the submission victory in that one. So I just feel like Sabatini is the safer play here. He's been more active. He's younger. And I just feel like he's a little bit better of a grappler. So, if Connolly can keep it on the feet, like I said, he's live. But I think Sabatini is going to be able to get that one done there. But with this next fight, man, Brendan Allen taking on Karl Roberson. This is one of these fights that, in my opinion, is pretty close. And I think the line indicates that for sure because Brendan Allen, I mean, he went in there in his last fight against Sean Strickland and haven't really liked a lot of things I've been hearing from Brendan Allen either on Fight Week. I heard him say that he thought that the Strickland loss was a fluke. I mean, how could you think that fight was a fluke, man? I mean, you got beat up, you got knocked out. Strickland outclassed him. And, Allen, to me, it's like his striking is not very good. He's just very hittable. He comes forward, plotting. He is, aggressive. He throws hard and he forward pressures. So, I mean, he makes some guys uncomfortable, but, Karl Roberson, I mean, if he just uses his jab, straight punches, he will be able to land at will on a guy like Brendan Allen, touch him up as he closes the distance. And, but, Karl Roberson, he didn't have a great performance his last time either. I mean, he went in there, had a whole big buildup with Marvin Vettori where they had the first fight, it got canceled. They had a second fight, it got canceled. And then even the third fight, I mean, he missed weight. He missed weight for the second fight. That's why he got scrapped. And I'm really surprised you're giving him another fight here at middleweight. But, apparently, I guess they're, going to let him try to make that weight one more time. And, but yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the matchup, to me, it's just a pure striker versus grappler type of matchup. I mean, we got Brendan Allen who, maybe can have a little bit more success on the feet than Roberson can have on the ground. But I feel like Roberson is going to be the, clear winner all day on the feet. And Allen's just going to have to try to pressure into the clinch, get the fight to the mat. And I do think that if he can get it down to the ground, Roberson, I mean, he struggled a lot with these heavy top pressure guys like Cesar Ferreira, Glover Teixeira, even in his last fight against Marvin Vettori. So seems like if you can get him into a bad position, he can kind of wilt a little bit. So I do feel like Brendan, if he can get on top, he is very aggressive. He has big ground and pound. He actually has the most submission attempts per 15 minutes of any fighter in that division's history. So he's very aggressive with submission attempts and really makes guys work. So I feel like cardio wise, both these guys kind of slow down, but whoever is going to be able to keep it in their world is going to have the better cardio. So if Allen can get it to the ground, I think he's going to be able to outlast a little bit, get a second win, things like that. In the clinch, Allen is the most dangerous with the striking as well. So that's something that he could try to do, land some nice knees, things like that. And I mean, to me, though, like I said, I don't really have a good read on this fight. I kind of want you guys to tell me what you think, like put in the comments who you guys have winning this fight. But, I'm going to go with Brendan Allen because I just feel like if he gets it on the ground, he's going to have a better chance to finish. And Roberson, he hasn't really shown killer instinct on the feet. He hasn't really shown great ability to finish fights. So I feel like Allen over 15 minutes is going to be able to get it to the ground at some point. Maybe take Roberson out, whether it's with a submission or ground and pounds. But I feel like Allen, to me, is kind of overrated. I think that, Roberson, he's explosive early on. He's going to be hard to take down, hold down. And if he can force enough exchanges, maybe he'll be able to, hurt Allen, get ahead on the numbers. But my pick is going to be Brendan Allen in this one. And I think he's just going to be able to get it done with his grappling. But like I said, I want your guys' opinion on this one. So let me know, in the comments who you guys have winning this fight, Brendan Allen or Karl Roberson. In this next one, though, we got Dwight Grant taking on Stefan Sekulic. And, man, I mean, this fight, interesting fight because I feel like the line is off. They got Stefan Sekulic as a pretty big underdog. Dwight Grant, I mean, he was close to having a 3-fight win streak in the UFC, though. He, was on the brink of, knocking out Daniel Rodriguez, another streaking fighter, but he almost got finished, or he almost finished Rodriguez, and then he gassed himself out and got finished. And, that was a tough loss for Grant because he's 36 years old. He really can't afford to lose 2 fights in a row. I'm sure he's trained very hard for this fight, but, to me, I like Dwight Grant. I think he's an okay fighter because he's long range and, tall for the division. He throws a lot of weird strikes from weird angles, like big hooks, big uppercuts, and kind of, has a similar kind of weird type of range striking style to a guy like Alex Oliveira, who we're also going to talk about on the card. But, I feel like you have to kind of question Grant's durability a little bit. That was his first knockout loss, but, he did get flatlined, and he's 36 years old. I feel like his grappling is not very good. I mean, he's trained at AKA. Now he's training over there at Alliance MMA. But, I've seen Zach Otto take him down. I've seen another couple guys, be able to take down Dwight Grant with takedowns that weren't really set up very well. And he hasn't really faced a lot of grapplers in his career, whereas Stefan Sekulic, I think, is going to be looking to exploit that grappling. But Stefan Sekulic, he has some question marks himself. He's debuted in the UFC 3 years ago, almost at this point. It was against Ramazan Emeev, and he actually did fairly well, but he failed a USADA test after that fight. He had to take 2 years off, and, now he's back. He's 29 years old. It's been, 2 years, 8 months since he's last fought, so it's going to be interesting to, see how good he actually looks in this fight, if that affected him. But being 29 years old, I do feel like, he's still going to look fairly good. I mean, he's 12-3. He hasn't really defeated a lot of great fighters, but, I was impressed with certain performances from him. I mean, to me, his striking looks like it's improving. I mean, he can go southpaw. He is a southpaw. He has good lateral movement. He doesn't really throw in combinations. He has a good straight overhand left. He'll throw some good oblique kicks. He has nice round kicks to the body. He'll throw head kicks. He has good question mark kicks, switch kicks, and he could throw kicks with both legs pretty fluidly. He likes to be all the way out or all the way in. He doesn't really like to trade. He, seems a little bit uncomfortable in close quarters. He's usually the longer, rangier fighter, which won't be the case here, so that could be an issue for him. He has been finished by strikes as well in his 5th pro fight against David Zavada, who's a UFC fighter. But he also had another fight where he got his head kick blocked by an elbow. It broke his leg, so that's another TKO loss for him. But Sekulic, he's not really a power guy. He, has 3 finishes by strikes, so he's more a guy that, uses his striking to kind of pot shot, set up his takedowns. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's a grinder. He has a good single leg, good doubles against the cage. He has good attacks off the breaks, nice elbows. I've seen him drop punch with spinning attacks, and on top, he has good ground and pound, good submission game. He has 4 guillotines, 6 submissions overall. I've seen him take opponents' backs. He has rear naked choke on his record. He was even able to hit a couple takedowns in Ramazan Emeev. He couldn't really control him, but he showed good cardio in that fight, even on short notice. He has a solid pace. He could really push the grappling pretty well. And I think that in this fight, he just needs to be heavy with the wrestling, man. He can't allow Dwight Grant to get his timing or get kind of his confidence at range. He has to close that gap, mix it up, make it an MMA fight, throw some strikes into the double leg, back him up to the cage, make him chain wrestle. And I feel like Dwight Grant, I mean, he's low volume at times. He can have a lot of close fights if he can't get the finishes. And, his style is predicated a lot on explosiveness, speed, and he's only getting older. I mean, he's almost 37 years old at this point. I just feel like Stefan Sekulic is going to be able to potentially go in there, use the grappling, hit the takedowns, get on top, get Dwight Grant tired, and, kind of get the victory that way. I think Stefan Sekulic, if he comes back looking anything like he did, in his previous career before the you saw the suspension. I think has a very good shot to come in here and get the upset victory. So I'm definitely going to roll with him, man. I feel like, he's going to be able to go in there and get it done. So I'm going to go with him to get the win there. And moving on here to this next fight. This is a real fun fight here with Randy Brown taking on Alex Oliveira. This is another fight I want to ask the chat. I mean, what do you guys think about this fight? You guys like this fight? Who do you guys think is going to win? And I just feel like it's an interesting fight. But Randy Brown, he had a real lackluster performance against Vicente Luque. It was a big opportunity for him. I mean, he could have jumped into that top 10, top 5 of the division, but got dominated, got finished. And he's a fighter who does show improvements, but he hasn't really been able to win that big fight yet. He's always kind of lost when he's taking that step up. But he's getting to kind of fight a mini legend of the sport here. And Alex Oliveira has almost 20 fights in the UFC at this point, Cowboy. And they were actually scheduled to fight in February. So, he's had his sights on Oliveira for a while. Oliveira, this is going to be his 19th walk to the octagon. He's had a 2-fight winning streak previous to his last fight. And, Shavkat Rakhmonov was able to snap that. But still is 11-7-1 in the promotion. But it's pretty obvious that Cowboy has seen his better days. I mean, he's taken a lot of damage. He isn't really what he used to be. He's lost 4 of his last 6 fights. He needs a win here for sure to avoid being cut, in my opinion. He's 33 years old, so still isn't super old. But, in fighting years, he's been in a lot of wars. And he had an issue on the scales in his last fight, which I just think is maybe a sign of him being worn down a little bit. But, Alex Oliveira, he has that hands-down wide stance. He has good feints. He has his right hand loaded. He has fast hands. He's explosive, good power. Throws those calf kicks, which I think are going to be a necessity for him in this fight. Hard, straight right hand, right uppercut. Very, very powerful counter uppercut. And, his front kicks up the middle are good. He has a good right high kick. He's strong in the clinch. And when he gets hit clean, he likes to close the gap, clinch up. He has nice knees, good elbows, good clinch work, good clinch takedowns. He has good doubles against the cage. And on top, he's strong. He has short elbows. He can mount you. He can take your back. But sometimes he can get a little bit sloppy in top position. And off of his back, he isn't really good. Kind of just looks to control and wait for the ref to stand you up. His takedown defense overall, though, is pretty solid. And he makes fighters pay. I feel like he's going to struggle with the reach, the straight shots of Brown. He doesn't really throw a lot of combinations. So after you get a beat on him, or once he slows down a little bit, it's kind of easier to evade his big range attacks. And, Cowboy doesn't check low kicks himself. He also has had a lot of issues with his nose. He's gotten his nose broken multiple times. He accepts bottom position and he slows down in fights. So for Oliveira, he's going to need to get his respect early so he can control the pace. Work the low kicks. If Brown can make it a high-paced fight, that's going to be a big, factor for him. Oliveira needs to look to grapple in this fight as well. Try to close the gap, get Randy in the clinch, jam some knees into his body, get that double leg. And if he can get on top of Brown, just stay smart, he's going to be able to control, dominate on top. And for Randy Brown, he's long, he's rangy, he's fast, he's sharp, he's technical. And, he throws good jabs, good straight shots, more combination-oriented, good front kicks up the middle, front knees. He has good jiu-jitsu. He's hard to submit. We've seen him survive a deep rear naked choke against Warley Alves. He has good output, good cardio. But, I would say he's not as athletic as a guy like Cowboy Oliveira. He doesn't have the same type of power. He's comfortable off his back, and I feel like he's the physically weaker fighter and not as good of a wrestler. But, for Randy Brown, he needs to keep it long, try to use his jab, try to push the pace, be more boxing oriented. Don't throw as many kicks, unless you set them up. Watch for that counter straight, the counter uppercut. Try to maybe, hurt the nose of Cowboy Oliveira, make him work hard for the takedowns. And if he does take you down, don't accept the bottom position. Work your way back up to your feet and don't engage in a grappling match. Try to, make it more, striking oriented, range oriented, be the more technical guy. Just touch. You don't really have to really go hard to get the finish. So ultimately, I just think that, I trust Randy Brown a little bit more at this point, even though I feel like Cowboy Oliveira, will be able to potentially even get a knockout, or he could hit takedowns in this fight if he has a good game plan. But, Cowboy, it seems like he goes in there, his game plan goes out the window at times. He just is wild. And if that happens, I think that Randy Brown is going to potentially be able to just kind of use his jab, keep him at range. And Randy is definitely going to have the cardio, the volume advantage. So I think that, if it gets that second, the third round, if it becomes a hard fight and Cowboy can't have success with the grappling, that he's going to start to lose on the feet. So I feel like Randy also maybe will want it a little bit more. Seems like he's kind of at a stage in his career where he's a little bit hungrier. So I got to go with Randy Brown, even though that's not a super confident pick there. So up next year, we got Anthony Smith. He's going to be taking on Jimmy Crute. This is an interesting fight as well. I mean, I feel like this is a good test for Jimmy Crute to kind of see exactly where he's at. Anthony Smith, obviously, he's that veteran that he's fought for the title, but he's had some bumps in the road recently. But he did get off the schneid in his last fight. He beat Devin Clark by submission in the first round. And I feel like he's kind of been casted now as that gatekeeper type of role. And, he kind of needs to come out here and dust Crute how he did Devin Clark to prove he's still a threat for the title. But obviously, he's going to have a huge experience advantage. He's definitely fought and defeated the better fighters. But Jimmy Crute, I mean, he's going to have the youth advantage. He has the momentum on his side, durability. He has heavy leg kicks, man. Good jab, good counter too, or overhand right. He likes to counter the jab with the right hand. Sometimes he can be a little bit wild, overextend, but more recently, I mean, I feel like it's only going to get better as well. He's looked more composed. His cardio is good. I mean, we saw him out-cardio Paul Craig, submit him in the third round. Good offensive wrestling, good chain wrestling. He likes to use that wrestling ride to gas his opponents out, mat return him like he did Michal Oleksiejczuk. He has good submission game as well. He has good Kimuras, arm triangles. He's super active with the submissions. He has, an okay sprawl. He creates scrambles fairly well off bad takedown attempts. He'll try to circle to the back or, get heavy on that neck. But Jimmy Crute, he could drop his hands in the pocket. We haven't really seen him tested with big strikes. And his takedown defense is a little bit questionable. I mean, he's been taken on multiple times by Paul Craig. He got taken down in the first 20 seconds against Misha Serkinov. He's also a little bit too comfortable off his back. I mean, he looks for sweeps, offense, elbows. He's not really the most technical guy on bottom. He kind of uses explosive sweeps, get-ups. He's a young guy, so he showed composure issues. His one loss, he was doing good on top and kind of got a little bit wild, got swept, got finished. So, he needs to kind of be a little bit more composed. But Anthony Smith, he's going to have the height, the reach. He's going to have the experience advantage. He has a lot of toughness. I feel like he's a little bit maybe more diverse with his striking. But he's a slow starter. He doesn't check kicks. Feel like, the game plan for Jimmy Crute is to pressure, throw those calf kicks, counter the jab with the right hand, look to get on top, wear on the gas tank of Smith, stay composed, stay smart. For Smith, I think he needs to try to start faster, be more aggressive, feint the jab to kind of pull out that right hand and then level change under it or counter with an elbow. Maybe try to touch Crute up with some long shots as he tries to come in. But I feel like he needs to make it more of an ugly fight. Look for the tie clinch. Look to force grappling exchanges. I think this fight's going to go well for Jimmy Crute, though. I mean, for one, Anthony Smith is a slow starter. He usually gives the first round away. He's used to fighting in 5-round fights. 6 of his last 7 fights are 5-round fights. And, Jimmy Crute, to me, is going to take that front foot and really attack that lead calf heavy early. Try to maybe back Smith up, clinch up with him, try to wear on his gas tank and out-wrestle him. I do think Crute has the better cardio. On top, I think Crute should be successful and be able to control. I also think that he's going to be a little bit faster in the scrambles. I think he's going to be looking for that big right hand, Jimmy Crute. Smith, if he was smart, I think he would try to level change, hit the double leg, but his wrestling hasn't ever been that good. If Smith can get on top, I do think that's his best chance to win. on the feet. I just think outside of a big shot, Crute's going to be more aggressive, land the harder punches, really work the leg kicks. I think his durability and power are an advantage over Anthony Smith. I trust his gas tank. I really feel Crute should get this one done, man. I think he could finish early, but if he doesn't finish early, I think Smith's toughness would probably bring him to the end. But either way, I think it's going to be a dominant win for Jimmy Crute. I just feel like he's going to be able to go in there and defeat a guy like Anthony Smith. I think he's superior everywhere, actually. So I got to go with Jimmy Crute in that one pretty confidently. And, man, I mean, this next fight, Chris Weidman taking on Uriah Hall. Fun fight. I mean, it's a rematch from a fight over a decade ago. Chris Weidman, he got back in the win column last year. He got a much-needed win over Omari Akhmedov. It wasn't pretty, but Weidman was able to get the job done. He snapped his 2-fight losing streak, and he still needs to get another win here to kind of separate himself from that bad run that he had. But, I do believe, one more loss for Weidman, he's really going to be in a no man's land. I mean, he really needs to get the victory here. It does seem as if he's in a great spot mentally and physically for this fight. I mean, he moved his camp to South Carolina. He said he's had more big guys to train with, and he's already defeated Uriah Hall, so he needs to just go and do it again on Saturday night. Uriah Hall, he's gotten his 3-fight winning streak going in the UFC right now. His last fight, he defeated a legend in Anderson Silva, and now he's, getting to fight another guy in Chris Weidman, who's a former champion. So, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you know what I mean? It's, for instance, like, these are potentially the 2 best middleweight champions in UFC history, and Uriah can beat them back to back. I mean, granted, it wouldn't be, at the stage of at the stage of their careers that they're the best, but, still big wins on their resume for a guy like Uriah. Uriah, it seemed like he was really tentative in that fight with Anderson, but it meant a lot for him to get the victory. After the fight, he was very emotional, so hopefully that'll get him the confidence he needs, give him that rub, because that's obviously always kind of been a thing for Uriah, where he's kind of mentally checked out at certain fights, or kind of, not fought to his full potential. But, man, I mean, I feel like a lot of people give Chris Weidman a lot of shit, man. Like, it's like, yeah, the guy's been knocked out 4 times, right? He has, right? So, or maybe 5. I mean, I think the one against Gegard is a TKO, but we all kind of know, I mean, he didn't really get hurt that bad in that fight. It was kind of a weird situation. But, I mean, Uriah Hall's been knocked out 4 times as well, man. I mean, Uriah Hall got knocked out 4 times. He's been knocked out by guys that aren't the same level of knockout artists as Chris Weidman, or I mean, as the guys that Chris Weidman's been knocked out by. So, I mean, I do think that, chin-wise, kind of durability-wise, I think they're kind of similar, man. I really do, even though I think Uriah is way more dynamic on the feet, is obviously more live for a knockout. But I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Weidman went in there, landed a jab on his chin and dropped him, or landed a 1-2 and dropped him. Chris Weidman in his last fight, I know a lot of people kind of were writing him off before that win over Omari Akhmedov. But you could tell he still wants it, man. I mean, he came in there and really got a hard-fought win. He was fighting a different kind of style on the feet as well, where he was kind of more movement-based, kind of being a little bit more tricky, a little bit harder to hit. And I feel like that's kind of maybe a good style for him to use, that not a Wonder Boy type of style, but being a little bit more evasive on the feet. And I think it kind of made his takedowns harder to read as well. Uriah, man, I mean, I feel like he's going to try to be using the jab. He's going to be trying to use the low kicks as well. And just trying to keep that range, pop Chris Weidman. I don't feel like he's going to be trying to really touch with a lot of power, because I feel like if he lands clean, I mean, he could hurt Weidman. But, man, I still feel like Weidman's boxing is better than Uriah's. I think that, the jab from Uriah is real nice. But if he can get on the inside of that and, kind of force exchanges, I think Weidman's going to have the faster hands, more power. And, I mean, I feel like, Weidman is just going to still be able to hit the takedowns, man. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys be able to take down, dominate Uriah Hall. I mean, even low-level guys like Krzysztof Jotko, guys like that. And we haven't really seen who's the best grappler that Uriah Hall's fought in the UFC. He hasn't really fought many good wrestlers. I mean, I guess grappler-wise, he fought ACJ, Antonio Carlos Jr., but he's not even close to the same level wrestler of Chris Weidman, and I saw ACJ hitting the single legs that Chris Weidman likes to hit on Uriah Hall. And, if ACJ's hitting those singles on him, man, I mean, I definitely feel like Chris Weidman's going to be able to hit him. I feel like Weidman on top is going to be very, very dangerous for Uriah. I think he can finish him. So I'm leaning more towards Chris Weidman on this one. I think that he's going to be able to get it done, man. I just think he's going to be able to use his grappling to get on top, get the finish. But, man, I mean, what's something that we see in both these guys' fights where you just kind of have to point it out, right? I mean, Chris Weidman, he's one of these guys. He's winning, and then he loses, right? Uriah, I mean, he's losing, and then he wins the fight. So could that happen? I mean, absolutely. Chris Weidman could be cruising. He could be getting a takedown first 2 rounds, and then third round, boom, he gets knocked out. But, I mean, I think Weidman, he's kind of remotivated. I think that, seeing, even if people think he's delusional, I mean, seeing your Israel get taken down, get controlled, I think that kind of gives him, another vision, like maybe he could kind of potentially, get back in that mix, even though I don't really think that's realistic. But I feel like it does give him a little bit of hope there. So I actually, I think Weidman's going to come out here and look good. I think he's going to dominate the fight, get a finish. So I'm going to go with Chris Weidman in this one. I just, I don't think Uriah Hall is going to come out here and beat the 2 best middleweight champions of all time in UFC history. If he does, and, if he knocks out Chris Weidman, to me, I mean, I guess you could say maybe Gegard is his biggest win, but I feel like that would become his biggest win of his career. And I think that he'd probably get a top 5 opponent, but I don't know. I just don't trust Uriah Hall enough to pick him here. Even Weathered Weidman, I just feel more comfortable picking Weidman. But yeah, I mean, in the chat, what do you guys think? I mean, are you guys going Weidman or are you guys going Uriah Hall just as a pick? I mean, real interesting fight. I mean, Uriah is undefeated. It's going to Fortis. So, it'll be interesting. But I do think that I'm going to go with Chris Weidman in this one. So we're going to the first of the 3 title fights, man. Valentina Shevchenko taking on Jessica Andrade. And, man, I feel like this is an underrated fight. I don't see that many people talking about this fight. And first off, man, I mean, I feel like the line is kind of ridiculous. I mean, I get Valentina Shevchenko, but you're telling me you're lining this like the same line that you lined Valentina versus Qileng Aori? I don't really agree with that. I mean, I feel like Andrade has more than a chance to get the win here. I really do. I like the way Andrade came out in her last fight, man. I mean, she got that knockout victory over Qileng Aori. She's using the head movement again against Rose Namajunas. She was using that same kind of head movement, forward pressure, less, she doesn't open up as much and be as wild. I mean, she still kind of has that wildness in her striking, but she's kind of looking to counter more. She's being a little bit tighter with her combinations. And I feel like Andrade is clearly improving. I mean, she's only 29 years old. She's been in the game for a long time, but, she's the younger girl. She's the girl that, in my opinion, is getting better. Whereas Valentina, I mean, I feel like she kind of brings the same thing every fight. I mean, she has good counters. She has that real good distance control. Really, I feel like her hands, she has that real nice check hook. And she has, obviously a good jab, good 1-2, good straight punches. And, she could touch you as you come in. But I don't really feel like her power in her hands is that significant. I feel like you really have to worry about, those kicks. I mean, the left kick to the body, the left kick to the head. And I think that's her most dangerous weapons. I think her spins as well are pretty dangerous. But, man, I mean, besides Amanda Nunes, this is probably the best girl that Valentina's, ever been in there with. I mean, I guess the most dangerous because she has been in there with Joanna in the UFC as well. But, man, I mean, Valentina, I feel like the game plans for both these girls are going to be pretty obvious. I mean, Valentina is going to be trying to counter, keep the range, and I do think she's going to be trying to look for takedowns and control because I think she's going to have a decent little size advantage on Jessica Andrade. But, man, I'm interested in this fight because I do think that, if Andrade can kind of get past the kicks, force exchanges on the inside, and land on Valentina, I want to see how Valentina reacts, because I saw, like, in her fight with Jennifer Maia, man, I mean, she got hit with a couple punches and her eyes were like real wide. Like, it seemed like she didn't really like it. And I mean, if you get hit on the chin by Jessica Andrade, that's why I feel like the line is kind of off, because how many girls do we see dropping girls with body shots, one punch? How many girls do we see slamming chicks on their head or knocking them out with one shot like she knocked out Carolina? I mean, really no one, man. I mean, Jessica Andrade is an anomaly in terms of, the power that she could generate. And I feel like, that can't be overlooked, because she also is improving technically as well. Like I said, with her head movement, her, her entries, her combinations, just being a little bit more fluid, less hittable. But man, I mean, it's hard to kind of go against Valentina with just her sharpness and her technicality on the feet and her ability to grapple. I mean, I think that, that might be the difference factor, the same factor that she had in the Joanna fight, where she was, able to hit those trips, good timing on her level changes, catch Andrade as she's coming in, take her down, and, have some top control. Andrade, though, man, I mean, I do feel like this line, like I said, I keep saying that, but it should be way closer, because 5 rounds as well. I don't really see Valentina posing like a huge knockout threat on the feet. I mean, I think she's going to touch her up real clean. It might be, similar to like the Rose fight, but I don't think she even has as much power in her hands as Rose Namajunas. I think Valentina kind of more, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be close. I think Andrade, if she comes in here with the game plan to really kind of, get in the clinch as well, I think she could maybe be effective with that. I mean, we saw Jennifer Maia hit takedowns, control against the cage. And, if Andrade can get on top, I do think she's going to have success, because, she's a very big, strong individual, man. And she get on top, I mean, use that heavy pressure and rain down shots. I definitely feel like she could be successful on Valentina. So, I mean, if I'm looking at this fight as a betting, like value-wise, I think it's definitely a dog or pass type of situation. I think that Andrade is very live to get the win, man. But man, I'm too scared to do it. I'm not going to go with Jessica Andrade. I'm going to go with Valentina. I think that she's just going to be able to counter, as Jessica Andrade comes in pretty effectively, touch her up, be pretty for the judges. And like I said, I think her mixing up the grappling, hitting takedowns is going to be her path to victory and get her the win. So, I'm going to go with Valentina. I think that, like I said, if she can mix it up, I think it'll be an easier fight. But if she can't get the takedowns, I think this is going to turn into a war, man. And I think it's might swing. It could be a real close fight. So I don't know what everyone else is thinking. I don't know if a lot of people are thinking I'm crazy right now, or they really have a lot of faith in Valentina. But to me, I feel like this is a close fight. This is a real close fight. I mean, Jessica Andrade, she's one of the best fighters in the history of women's MMA as well. So I feel like she deserves a respect for sure. But ultimately, I'm kind of too nervous to go forward and kind of go head first into picking Jessica. So I'm going to pick Valentina to win by decision in this one. And man, up next year, we got the co-main event. We got Weili Zhang. We got her taking on Rose Namajunas. And this is another fight where I see a lot of people super confident on one side or the other side. And there's, good takes on both sides. And it's a really interesting fight, in my opinion. I mean, I feel like one thing that people aren't kind of taking into account that I think is pretty decently a big factor is this fight is going to be in the big cage. So I think that is going to be an aid to Rose Namajunas. I do think that's going to help her being in that 30-foot octagon. A lot more room to move than if that was in the, octagon, at the apex. So I do think that's a big advantage for her. And man, I mean, let's talk about this fight for a little bit. Just the buildup. I mean, only two girls besides Valentina Shevchenko to beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and the only two strawweights to ever beat Joanna. Obviously, I mean, Weili, in my opinion, I mean, I even went back and watched that fight, and I still feel like JJ won the fight. I mean, I thought she won the first, second, and the third round, I believe. I can't remember the exact rounds that I thought she won, but I thought JJ won, and it was a real close competitive fight, though. It was one of the best fights of all time. So obviously, Weili proved her worth in that fight, and it was amazing. But, Rose obviously won the fight fights against JJ a lot cleaner, in my opinion. I mean, the first one, obviously, she knocked her out. The second one was fairly close, but I think it was, much more definitive that Rose won than Weili won when they fought each other. But, since then, Rose has had another loss to Andrade where, she got slammed and lost the title, and then Weili went on there and destroyed Andrade, then beat JJ. So Weili, I mean, she's on a great run. I don't think she's lost since her MMA debut. So she's someone that really, really, really has a lot of momentum right now. But Rose, man, I feel like Rose is kind of always underrated. She's always kind of someone that people always kind of peg her to lose the fights. But she kind of has a weird aura about her, man. I mean, it's kind of like no one really thought she was going to beat JJ. Even the second time she fought Joanna, she was the underdog the second fight. So it's like, ultimately I do think that Rose, like, she kind of has this weird kind of confidence mojo type of thing that people don't really understand at times. They could kind of think she's a little bit weird, and then she exposes her emotions where she'll be talking about, certain things after the fights, like retirement and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like it's more like she's just she says what's on her mind, whereas, other girls don't really say what's on their mind, or other guys even. So I feel like it's kind of, overblown sometimes when people say she's kind of like a mental midget, things like that. I don't really agree with that. And man, I mean, with this fight, I think it's going to be an awesome fight. Early on, I really do think Rose is going to be a lot better early on. I think that, she's going to be able to really use her footwork. I actually think Rose probably is the best boxer in women's MMA history. I mean, her footwork, her combinations, the way that she can counter, her speed, just everything about her. I mean, her ring generalship. I mean, I feel like it's top notch, man. I mean, her head movement, the way that she can, end combinations. Like, I feel like she's just very, very, very technical, very smart. And Weili, I mean, she's a beast too. She likes to get in the pocket and trade. I mean, she throws real heavy. And I mean, obviously, if you exchange with her, I mean, JJ exchanged with her too. So, yeah, I mean, JJ's a gangster for that. I mean, they went to war, and I mean, they're kind of just trading left hooks, which is what Weili loves to do. I mean, she likes to counter with that left hook. I think in this fight, Weili's low kicks are going to be something that she really, likes to do. I mean, I think she's going to be trying to throw those inside-outside low kicks, try to kind of wear on the movement of Rose, and then force longer exchanges where she could try to bust her up and kind of slow Rose down. Because, like I said early on, I mean, Weili, she's very fast. I think she actually might have a slight speed advantage on Rose. But, to me, she's kind of sloppier with her hooks. She doesn't really throw as tight, and I feel like she doesn't throw as straight as punches either. She also is kind of linear. She doesn't move her head either. So I feel like Rose, I mean, early on is going to be able to land real clean, a lot of shots. And one thing, I mean, I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about is, I mean, man, I mean, that last fight, how many significant strikes did Weili Zhang absorb, man? I mean, I saw her get hit with the head kick in the second round, and her eyes are freaking looking in opposite directions. I mean, she took a lot of damage in that fight. She took a lot of damage. I mean, I don't know if it's going to rear its head in this fight, but man, I mean, taking that type of damage, that's not something you could just look away from. It's not going to go away. So Rose Namajunas, I mean, she hits harder than Uriah Jacek. I mean, that's a fact. She's flatline chick. She knocked out Joanna. So getting hit with all those shots early on, if she's getting touched up like that first round, I mean, JJ won that first round versus Weili pretty clearly. To me, she was landing some real clean shots on her chin. She landed that head kick, which, Rose is real sneaky with that left high kick. I feel like that's something that she could maybe land as well. But I really do feel like she could potentially get a finish in these first couple rounds, a knockout. But Weili is very durable, man. I mean, that's something that she's just extremely durable. And she's going to be someone that's going to probably be able to take it. So Rose has to be in the best shape of her life, in my opinion, and be ready for like a crazy war. Because Weili, like I said, she's going to push into the pocket and try to exchange, try to counter with their 1-2s with the left hook. And she has very good hand speed. So Rose is going to get hit. I mean, she's going to get touched up. And we've seen like her slow down, like the Jessica Andrade fight, the second fight. But I mean, man, I still feel like Andrade is kind of a different animal to Weili. I know Weili won, knocked out Jessica Andrade, but we haven't seen Weili Zhang slamming chicks on her head. We haven't seen her knocking out girls with one body shot or flatlining them with one punch. So, I mean, I don't think if JJ took all those shots from Jessica Andrade that she would be still standing at the end of 5 rounds. So, I do feel like the shots that Weili throws aren't going to be as impactful as Jessica Andrade. Even though she throws very hard, very heavy, I think Andrade throws different, man. I think she throws a little bit harder than Weili. And so I feel like Rose, the first 2 rounds, is going to kind of be able to dominate the fight at range, pick apart Weili. And from there, that's where the fight's going to start to happen. Not pick her apart, but I think it's going to be clear she won the fight. But ultimately I feel like it's going to be like, as the fight goes on, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, that's where Rose is going to maybe start to get tired and Weili is going to pick up the pace, try to make the fight a lot closer. I could see it, being 2-2 going into the 5th round. And, Rose, I mean, she kind of had a similar fight with JJ where, it was 2-2 going into the 5th round and she lost the 3rd, the 4th. She was able to muster it up, win that 5th round. Man, I just feel like the line is off. I think that it should be closer to a pick'em, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't really see why Weili should be a big favorite. I mean, she's coming off, a big win streak. Her last fight was awesome. But Rose isn't going to fight like that, man. Rose isn't going to trade with her in the pocket. She's not going to exchange. She's going to be trying to touch, move, counter. She might exchange a little bit, but she's not going to be giving Weili the exact game plan that she wants. I feel like, unless Weili can get the leg kicks going, I think that the movement and the fluidity of Rose is going to be there. I mean, her last fight, she knew it was going to be a 3-round fight. She broke her orbital in that 3rd round. And, if she takes a lot of damage like that, then maybe she will slow down. But, I just feel like Rose technically is the way better boxer. I think that she has the better movement as well. She has better defense. And it's just going to come down to if she has the cardio and the ability to absorb, that damage that Weili is going to try to put on her or potentially put on her and continue to fight, weather the storm, and kind of pull through. But, man, like I said, too, I do think Weili took a lot of damage in her last fight as well. I mean, I don't know why no one's really talking about that. I mean, if you get almost flatline, I mean, you eat 300 significant strikes. Man, I mean, you're going to potentially, be in trouble with your next fight, man. You might get hurt a lot easier. So, I mean, stranger things have happened, in my opinion. And, I did say earlier, I mean, I see people in the chat talking about, she only has the 1 knockout. But, I mean, we've seen her, drop Michelle Waterson with the high kick, submit her, hurt Paige Van Zandt, submit her. So she has kind of, she could hurt her and submit her as well. But I just feel like Rose definitely hits harder than JJ. I mean, I feel like that's kind of obvious if you watch their fights. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with Rose. I think that she's going to be able to kind of out-technique the first 2 rounds. And then she also has to do a sneak one in those last 3 rounds. And I do think that she could even get a finish in the early rounds. But, I don't really hate anyone picking Zhang either. I mean, I think Zhang obviously could get a finish in the later rounds herself. And I think Zhang, as well, could win a decision potentially. So I'm going with Rose, though, in this one. Then up next, we got Kamaru Usman taking on Jorge Masvidal. Man, in rematch, I think a lot of people kind of are not enthralled with this being the main event. I think a lot of people feel like Jorge didn't really deserve the fight. But me personally, I mean, I would rather see Colby Covington in here, but I don't really think it's the worst fight in the world, man. I mean, first fight, it was 50-44, a couple scorecards, and yeah, there was a lot of kind of domination from Usman, but the first round was interesting, and, we saw Usman in his last fight not that long ago get dropped in the first round, get hurt pretty badly. He's gotten stunned against Colby Covington a couple times. He has gotten hurt in some other fights. So, there's some openings there on the feed. I mean, Masvidal, he kind of is probably going to have to try to, I don't know, really try to play mind games, get him to win a strike, because I just don't see him stopping the takedowns. I mean, Masvidal, he comes in there. He's game bred, obviously. He's going to be tough. He's going to be there to fight. And, but I just feel like his grappling is good. I mean, he has good get-ups. but he doesn't really have the wrestling, man. I mean, I don't see him stopping the control against the cage. I don't see him stopping the takedowns at all. I mean, but it's like he will have better cardio for 5 rounds of this one. So if he could be its like supremo cardio and Usman slows down a little bit, maybe he could start to pick it up in the later rounds. But Usman has the best cardio in the UFC, man, to me. So that's super, super low percentage thing to happen, in my opinion. I feel like Masvidal's only chance to win, just like he had the first fight with no training camp. If he had a full training camp, it's a first round, second round knockout, man. He has to go out there, touch Usman and, get him out of there. He's going to get tired. He's going to get grinded on, and he's just going to lose the fight. I mean, I feel like George, he's a 55er as well. He's super tough, though. I mean, his boxing, and, he has to be respected in this fight, obviously, by Kamaru. But, man, I mean, I don't really have a big in-depth breakdown for this one because I don't really think it's a super close fight. I just feel like Usman is going to be able to use his grappling the same exact way. I mean, I think it's going to be similarly played out. I don't really think it's going to change much. I think that, it's going to be a decision win for Usman. I don't really like, man, it's like Masvidal, he got to this stage, right? Now he's getting 2 title fights. And I just hope people don't like shit on the guy so bad if he loses again. It's like, man, like he's not really supposed to win. And I don't think you can call him like a shitty fight or anything like that. Hopefully, I don't know. It's going to be a weird spot in my opinion for Masvidal after he loses this fight. Like I don't necessarily know what he's going to continue on doing with his career. It's like he could have some big time fights, but this is a big one, man. I mean, if Masvidal wins this fight, he's going to shut a lot of motherfuckers up, though. It's going to be like, that would be crazy. I don't know. It would be probably one of the, I don't know. To me, that would be the most fun outcome, would be a knockout for Masvidal, right? But, man, I don't know. Ultimately, I think Usman's just going to come out here and get the decision win easily. So, I mean, even though I'd rather want George to get the win, yeah, I can't be dumb with it. I'm going to have to go with Masvidal to just lose a decision again, get 50-45, 50-44. But, man, I don't know. I mean, hopefully Masvidal can go in there and surprise us all, right? That's kind of what I want to see. But actually, Usman, he's going to be my most confident pick on the card. I think he's going to go out there and, like I said, get a dominant victory in that one. For my underdogs of the week, it's going to be Stefan Sekulic and Rose Namajunas in that one. And for the parlay of the week that I'm going to be giving, it's going to be Zhu Rong and Zhu Rong and 1 second here, my bad. I don't have to put it wrong. Zhu Rong and Jimmy Crute. So that's going to be the parlay of the week for you guys as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the predictions here. Hopefully you guys all left a like. I'd really appreciate it. Like I said, I want to get to 200 likes, and I'm going to be having a full card breakdown prediction video for PFL coming out tomorrow on the Patreon. I'm going to have a LFA breakdown as well. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. It's $10 to get in on that, and you can get the video. You can get my full card picks as well. So definitely feel like it's worth it if you want to try that out. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys later. And like I said, really appreciate the support on all these videos. Hopefully we can do well and make some money this week.